Hi guys, I'm Ritvik. I'm a third year MBA student at AIMS Jodhpur, and on my last two videos, I got a few requests to make a video on USMLE in brief. So I decided to film one for you guys. A disclaimer right off the bat is that I'm not an expert in this field, so don't take my advice for a professional. This is going to be a pretty long video, so I'm going to break this video into several chapters, timestamps for which are linked in the description box below. If you want to jump around to any particular section of this video, feel free to do so. One last thing is that if you have any doubts and if you have any questions related to anything that I discuss in this video, feel free to leave a comment down below. I will try my best to respond to it. So with that being said, let's get started with the video. So the first thing that I want to discuss about is the introduction to USMLE. So what exactly is USMLE? In the most basic sense, it is an exam, or better put, it is a series of exams that you need to give in order to become a licensed doctor in the United States. Even if you completed your med school from the US, you still need to go through this exam in order to become a licensed doctor in the United States. The USMLE stands for United States Medical Licensing Exam. There is so much more to USMLE than just the STEP scores. You have to get some experience in a US based healthcare facility. You have to be a published research article author. You have to have some volunteer experiences. Don't worry, we will discuss all of these things in this video. Let me warn you about something first. The whole process of USMLE, right from the step 1 examinations to matching into a residency program in the United States, is a tough one and is an expensive one too. So make sure you are well prepared for that before considering US as an option. Step 1. This is a basic preclinical sciences examination that you give after your second year of medical school, and it is also the first step towards the USMLE. The content that is covered in this examination is generally your first 2 years of medical school curriculum plus a few nicks here and there. I'm still in the preparation phase of this examination. The exam is an 8-hour long exam which has 280 MCQs. Those 280 MCQs are divided into 7 blocks of 40 questions each, plus you have an extra hour that you can use as a break time as and when you plead. The MCQs are not one-liner MCQs like what is the side effect of this drug XYZ. Rather, they are proper patient case presentations where you have a proper history, you have some examination findings, you have some investigations and all those things, and you have to arrive at a proper diagnosis. So what I mean by this is that step 1 is a tough exam. Also, until now, the result of this exam was disclosed as a 3-digit numerical score, like you score 240 out of 80. But from January 26, 2022, this will change from a 3-digit score to a simple pass or fail system. This will impact IMGs in both a positive as well as a negative manner. This is already a very controversial topic and I don't want to get into that. So if you're wanting to appear in this examination, you'll have to consider this change, and this might affect you in any way possible. STEP exams are conducted by a US based test administration system called the Prometric. STEP exams can be taken in nearly all of the countries where there are Prometric centers. I'll make an in-depth video on how to prepare for this examination, so if you're interested in that one, stay tuned. Next we have step 2. Earlier, step 2 was a 2-phase examination in which the first phase was called step 2 CK and the second phase was called step 2 CS. CK stands for clinical knowledge and CS stands for clinical skills. But due to the COVID-19 pandemic, on 4th of March 2021, the governing bodies of USMLE, they decided to discontinue this exam because of the problems faced by students in flying to the US and give this exam. So as of now, we only have step 2 CK that is still in practice. Step 2 CK is a 9-hour long examination in which you have 318 MCQs, and those MCQs are divided into 8 blocks of 40 questions each, plus you have an extra hour of break time that you can divide between these blocks as and when you plead. This exam basically tests your knowledge of the 3rd and 4th year of medical school subjects, which include obstetrics and gynecology, medicine, surgery, and all those subjects. Step 2 CK can be taken outside the US also, where you have Prometric testing centers. Next, moving on, we have the step 3 examination. This exam is the final exam in the sequence of the whole USMLE exams in order to attain a license to practice in the United States. It is a 2-day exam. Day 1 is also known as Foundations of Independent Practice. It has 232 MCQs which are divided into 6 blocks of 40 questions each, and you have an extra hour of break time. Day 2 is also known as Advanced Clinical Medicine, abbreviated as ACM. This exam has 180 MCQs which are divided into 30 MCQs per block, and you have 45 minutes to solve a particular block. Then you have 13 computer-based case simulation scenarios, also known as CCS. Step 3 can only be taken in the United States, so you'll have to fly out to the US and give this examination. Now this was all about the proper examinations, but the application system in the United States is absolutely different when compared to that in India. In India, what happens is that you have to write a national level examination from which you'll get an all India rank. Then you will fill out your choices in a descending order, and then you'll be allotted a particular seat in a particular hospital. But what happens in the US is that you have to apply to certain programs in certain hospitals. You'll have to prepare a CV in which you will have to add all your accomplishments till date, your step scores, your LORs, or your USCE experience. Also, you'll have to prepare a personal statement, and then you'll have to upload all of these documents onto the ECFMG website, and that will be forwarded to all the certain programs that you applied to in different hospital settings. You then wait for a program director to respond. If the program director likes your application and he thinks that you well suit for the residency program, you'll get a call for an interview. Earlier, interviews used to happen offline, so you had to fly to the US and give in-person interviews. But now, because of the pandemic going on, this process has been shifted to online methods of interviews. On an average, an IMG applies to nearly 100 to 200 programs depending on availability, depending on feasibility, and some other various factors. The match results are out in the month of March, where you'll get an acceptance email that you got accepted into a certain residency program, and then you will start your residency there. We'll talk about all of these now. Next, we have USCE. So what does USCE stand for? USCE stands for United States Clinical Experience, and what this basically means is that you have to apply to a particular hospital in a particular specialty. You will go there and you attend those rotations there. Now, this is very much like your normal hospital postings in India, but the only difference is that you have to fly out to the US and attend those rotations there. See, the healthcare facilities in the US are entirely different from what they are in India. You have a different patient approach, you have a different operation of the hospital, you have different legal aspects, you have online medical records there, where in India we have a bit of a pen paper based approach. So if you go out there and rotate through all these different specialties, you will get to know the difference of the healthcare system in the US as compared to that in India. Now, for the application process, you can either apply to the hospital or the university directly, or you'll have to apply through some third party agencies which offer hospital rotations there in the US, namely AMO Opportunities, USMLE Sarthis, and there are a bunch of these agencies there, so you'll have to do your own background research if you want to go through these agencies. Electives are basically of two types, hands off or hands on. I won't get into the nitty gritty of electives because it is a very vast topic. I'll make a video on it someday in the future. Basically, USC is important to you in three main aspects. Firstly, to get an exposure to the US healthcare system. Secondly, is to build connections when you are doing your rotations there. And third is to get some LORs from US physicians. LOR stands for Letter of Recommendations. And factually speaking, LORs from US physicians are superior as compared to LORs that you might get from your home country's doctors. Now, moving on, we have personal statement. This is basically a personal essay in which you have to answer two main questions. The first one being, why this specialty? And the second one being, are you fit for this specialty? So the first question is, why this specialty? Explain why you want to apply to this particular specialty like internal medicine or orthopedic surgery. And the second question is that, are you fit for this specialty? Explain to the program director why he should choose you above all those 1,000 applicants. So you can be creative with this. You can read some sample papers of personal statements online and just be creative with this and you'll get around this. You may also contact some personal statement editing agencies which edit your personal statement and make it a bit more presentable and appreciable. So I'm just giving you a broad overview of the personal statement thing. Next, we have research. Now, this is one of the most important things if you're applying to the US for a residency seat. Research as an undergraduate student in India is so overlooked that more than 90% of students by the end of their undergraduate years have not indulged in any kind of research activity. Whereas in the United States, it is entirely different, where more than 90% of the students by the end of their med school are already involved in some kind of research activities. So to match the level of an average United States medical student, you'll have to get involved in some kind of research. If you're planning on applying to more competitive residencies like orthopedic surgery, plastic surgery, neurosurgery, dermatology, research is very, very important for you. And even if you're applying to some less competitive specialties like PMR, psychiatry, or family medicine, research is always a good point on your CV. People who match into plastic surgery have more than 12 publications on an average, and this number might even go up to 30 publications by a single person, which is insane and way too competitive. People who match into internal medicine have nearly 4 to 5 research articles published at the time of their match. So the next point that I want to talk about is visa. There are various visas on which students go to the United States for either an elective or for residency. The most common ones used are, for electives, people go for B1, B2 visa, and for a residency, people go for a J1 or H1B visa. Most of the programs sponsor students on a J1 visa and as compared to that on H1B visa. So you might have to consider this before applying to a particular visa. I'm not saying that you should apply only for a B1, B2 visa or for a J1 visa. Your needs might differ, so you might have to do your own background research before applying to a particular visa. Next, moving on, we have extracurricular or volunteer work. Program directors always consider how compassionate of a person you are and how you have given back to the society, or how you are outside your professional life as a doctor. Volunteer work might be of any type you want. It might be a part of a blood donation campaign, or it might be a part of an NGO that you're working for that might help the poor and needy people. These all acts describe you as a better person, and your chances of matching into a particular program might increase if you are involved in these kind of activities. This brings us to the end of this video. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. I'll be happy to answer it. If you did find this video helpful, please leave a like for the YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.